Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Chiefs Out West. We are joined again by contributing writer for ArrowheadAddict.com, Jake Kokoris. Jake, your Chiefs are 1-0. How's it feel?
It feels like they're 1-0. We did everything right, and it feels good. It's a good Friday in Chiefs Kingdom.
Exactly right. I mean, there were a couple of nuances in this game that we talked about in our prediction vid last time. But before we get into that, just your initial reactions on how the Chiefs were executing on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, sure. I was really surprised that the offense was just marching up and down the field at will. I mean, I know we talked about the Texans defense is one of the weaker in the NFL, but considering A, COVID, B, no preseason, I was shocked to see an offense that, whether it be Mahomes to, rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire, were looking like they were in November, December form. So I was pretty blown away by that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, it was kind of, at first it was kind of a reminder of what Chiefs defenses typically are, and that's they don't defend the run too well, and they make enough plays to kind of survive. But early, the run defense was really struggling. The linebacking core, I think, is going to need some tweaking, whether that's Willie Gay coming in and playing more. But aside from that, the pass defense was also just incredible. I was blown away because I know we were talking about, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is gone, but you've still got these three, Cooks, Cobb, and Fuller, really solid receivers that you're going to have to match up with. And out of nowhere, suddenly L'Jarius Sneed, fourth round pick, is like shutting down Will Fuller. So who saw that coming ever? So that's super encouraging, especially with, Breeland being suspended and then Charvarius Ward fracturing his hand. I don't know exactly how much time he's scheduled to miss, but good stuff from Sneed. I thought Matthew looked amazing too. Chris Jones had a big night. All in all, man, I don't, football wise, I don't know if you could have asked for much better than that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I was going through the tape myself, or at least some of the replays, and I couldn't believe it myself just how crisp some of these executions on offense were looking, and then how the defense, as you mentioned, in the second year of Steve Spagnuolo, they look like they can defend the pass against what was a playoff team of all teams. That wasn't a bad Houston Texans team that we defeated. So I guess my next question is, we had talked about on the offensive side, Clyde Edwards-Helaire's impact or potential impact on this offense. What did you see from him that night?
Yeah, so I mean, just aside from the yards and the touchdowns, which were impressive, I noticed that it seemed like the presence of Clyde kind of, I said earlier that it seemed like it took a lot of pressure off Mahomes. It seemed like Mahomes did not have to be the totality of that Chiefs offense. You had a guy a few feet away from him who had as big a playmaking ability as anyone Mahomes has played with, going back to Kareem Hunt. So it was wild to me how an offense that has already been historically great in the past 2 years, looked like it reached a next level in terms of just Mahomes being a little bit more steady because he has this dynamic weapon right next to him. And then just seeing Clyde as a runner was super impressive. Just I don't want to speak ill of Damian Williams because I love him, but it was really clear when Clyde was running the ball versus when Darrell Williams was running the ball. Not just because Clyde was a few inches shorter, just style-wise, he's got so much juice in him. It was just obvious from really the first quarter on that this guy is now a centerpiece of this team.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, so we had mentioned, or at least I believe I saw you make a point on Twitter that we had an opt-out from Damian Williams and got better at the position. How many teams in the NFL can say something like that? And as well, so to continue on, I know we mostly talk Chiefs here, but I couldn't help but to look at the Texans and their execution as well on offense and say to myself, all the speed, but nothing's getting downfield. What was it really all Chiefs? Was it some of the Texans? What would you explain there? Why didn't that come to fruition?
Yeah, that question's like probably my biggest question from the game itself, because Deshaun Watson, I don't know many people who wouldn't say he isn't a top 5 quarterback. And I have to say, Deshaun did not look good yesterday. Again, all these variables come out. Is it that Fuller, Cobb, and Cooks aren't getting separation? Is it that they're just sluggish first game of the season? But ultimately, that reflects poorly on Bill O'Brien, because what is the one big change between the Texans last night and the Texans who were in the wild card? DeAndre Hopkins isn't there anymore. The Texans did not look like a credible offense last night, and they should be. So again, it's like, it's either the Chiefs' pass defense is really for real, or the Texans' offensive game plan was not there at all, or their receivers are not there. There's so much that we have to sort out in the coming weeks. But I think it's safe to say that that Billy O is feeling some heat today.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. Billy O, of course, the head coach and the GM of the Houston Texans, who's real all his moves, and he's a little deeper in his tenure there. You may have some explaining to do if things don't turn around quickly in week 2 against Baltimore as well. And on to really our last video, we had game balls predictions for the offense and the defense. Colicchio Simile was your pick on offense. Tell us about him.
I'm going to brag about that. I'm not a huge tape dog. I'm not a huge analytics guy, so I can't speak too intelligently on what, a guard brings to the table. But I counted Chris Collinsworth brought up Colecchio Semele. I think it was 9 or 10 times. So if you're bringing up a guard that many times in a positive light, that means my prediction was, but he was manhandling that Texans defensive line. He was creating space on, early in the game in situations where they really needed a 7-yard run or a 5-yard conversion. I think that, he's a big bruiser, and it was really exciting to see him just tear it up for 4 quarters. So I'm both happy that he's been a great addition and that I now feel smart because I brought him up in the last video.
And so you should. Yeah, it was clear what his participation in that game was. I still can't believe that guy was a free agent that we just picked up. Again, it's just a smart call. How about on the defensive side? You'd given it to Rashad Fenton in the preview video. I didn't hear his name called, which I guess is good for a corner. Is there anyone else that you would give a game ball to?
Yeah, no, I think all the corners did an excellent job, but the obvious pick here is L'Jarius Sneed. He was on the couple big kind of passes he defended. It wasn't Deshaun missing a throw. It wasn't really Fuller running a bad route. It was just really solid coverage. And what's even more exciting is he's something like 6'2" and 190. So he's bigger than Charvarius Ward. And it's just clear he's more of a physical presence. And it looked like one of those performances where it'd be easy to say it was a fluke, but if you break it down, he was shutting Fuller down consistently, which was wild. I thought Chris Jones was incredible. Goes without saying. I thought Tyrann Mathieu is really becoming the quarterback of that defense. Especially, he forced an interception, the one that fell into Snead's hands, of course. I will say, curious about the linebackers because the run defense was a little concerning to me. I know Willie Gay, I don't believe, played a single defensive snap. He was all on special teams. So I'm curious about what's going on there. But that's been a Chiefs problem really for like 3 years now. So.
Yeah, very interesting point there. As we saw a number of names in the linebacker room, all of them get snaps, including our friend Dorian O'Daniel, who was drafted in 2018, but no Willie Gay, nothing from the second rounder on the field. That's interesting. You're absolutely right. So just the last few questions here for you. As we go, I know we probably haven't had too much time to go into the following week, being that we're soaking in our week 1 win. But going into next week against the Chargers, I think to myself, man, there are some things that we could be even better at before we play a team like the Chargers. One of them was Clyde Edwards-Helaire not getting a single reception in this game here. What do you think will be some of the changes and adjustments that are made as we go into the following week?
Yeah, I think the challenge that this Chargers team compared to the Phillip Rivers-led team is that you're going to have Tyrod Taylor, a mobile QB, and Austin Eckler, who showed to be, in my opinion, the best receiving back. I'll put him behind McCaffrey, but he's a top 3 receiving back in the NFL. So that tandem, I think, is going to be a lot of trouble for our linebackers, who have not really shown themselves to be great at those open field tackles, just run defense in general. On the flip side, with the Chargers losing Derwin James, that's going to open up hopefully some more deep throws from Mahomes to Hill. We saw a lot more kind of a methodical game last night, a lot of like 12, 15-yard passes. But I think that we can't overlook the Chargers. Rivers is gone, but Tyrod Taylor has accomplished a lot in this league, and he has a unique skill set that I think that we're especially weak to go against. And I'd be a little concerned about how many yards they're going to stack up running the ball on screens, stuff of that sort.
Yeah, that's an excellent point as well. Of course, Anthony Lynn now making it pretty much apparent that they want to be more of a running team as well. The Chiefs started off a little sluggish against the runner of that game. It'll be interesting to see how that plays off. Last question for you here. And I know we gush about Patrick Mahomes a lot. I'm going to give you one Patrick Mahomes question and just run with it as you please. So Patrick Mahomes goes into this game. I know I had a prediction for him in my video that he was going to come out and throw all these touchdowns and all these yards. It looks like that wasn't the case in week 1. It may not be the case in week 2 as the offense changed a little bit, but just tell our viewers, for someone who's seen Pat play this many games and wonders, has he gotten better? How can he get better? What did you see from week 1 to let you know that he is progressing as a quarterback?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, so for the first 2 years of Patrick Mahomes' career, I viewed him as kind of this wonderkind. Like he was capable of making the greatest throws, but I didn't quite yet in my head have him as like a Brady or a Manning, where you just know he has complete control over that offense and like an encyclopedic knowledge of it. I think yesterday the sparks weren't exactly flying. Demarcus Robinson dropped what should have been a great touchdown pass from Mahomes. But what we saw instead was that side of Mahomes that I think a lot of people have been waiting to see, the kind of almost matured veteran presence where he's calling out audibles. He's just so sharp at the line of scrimmage. He's taking the conservative plays when they're there. And to know that Mahomes always has that other infinite realm of skill at his disposal, it was really cool to see him kind of playing. I'll say it looked like he was like an eight-year veteran yesterday. It just looked like he was in control of that offense. So that development and just becoming such a leader, not just football-wise, it's clear that he is the man and he knows all that he needs to know. So we're in great hands. If anyone didn't know, we're in great hands going forward.
That's an excellent point. Patrick Mahomes, again, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. I guess some quarterbacks would call that pedestrian. I guess that just speaks to the brilliance of his floor as a player. Jake Kokoris, again, contributing writer, airheadaddict.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Butch. Have a good one.
You too.